From the Middle is proud to be a founding member of the Odd Pods Media Network. Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another episode of From the Middle. We are three middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives with a point of view that is somewhere in the middle. This week's episode, we're dropping on Groundhog's Day, by the way. And dropping on Groundhog's Day, by the way. And dropping on Groundhog's Day, by the way. Do you see what we're doing there? And speaking of things that happen all the time, actually, I screwed that up. Doesn't happen ever. I'm going to start this over. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of From the Middle. My name is Kendall, and here with Corey and Dillon, we are three middle-class guys living in the middle chapters of our lives, and the point of view is somewhere in the middle of something about America. And it's Groundhog Day, everybody. Good to see you here. Join us on this conversation. We're going to be talking about the Super Bowl. We're from Ohio. The Cincinnati Bengals are in the Super Bowl, and that happens like never. So we're excited about that one. Dillon threw out his back, so welcome to middle age to Dillon, and then we talk about organizing all of our stuff. Monica's closet. From friends. If we throw away our things, if we have a hoarding problem in our basement, we're going to talk about that. And there's an opportunity for you guys to share with us your deep, dirty secrets that might be inside of your junk drawer. That said, roll the music.
Then put your little hand in mine. There ain't no hill or mountain we can climb. Ba-da-da. Babe, dun, 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 dun. I got you, babe. That's awesome. You got to leave the whole thing in, Kendall, because then it's like you're doing Groundhog Day. And you're just trying it again, which is like the whole point. You just got to leave the whole thing. I love it. And then we'll end on that song, and then Dylan's going to do his thing. It's perfect.
And then
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole. I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral, and you're so developed and evolved.
Okay, campers, rise and shine, and don't forget your booties, because it's a cold out there today. It's cold out there every day. What is this, Miami Beach? That's right, woodchuck chuckers. It's
Groundhog Day. Happy Groundhog Day, everybody.
Happy. You know, I have a friend. I haven't received one yet this year. But I'm sure it's coming.
I
have a friend from high school. Who used to be a groundhog. No, I didn't hear what you said, but I assumed that you said used to be a groundhog so that it would be hilarious in my face. But Groundhog Day, I don't know if it's actually his favorite holiday or if it's sort of tongue-in-cheek his favorite holiday. But in any case, he sends Groundhog's Day postcards to all of his friends, like how people send Christmas cards. He doesn't do Christmas cards. He does Groundhog's Day cards. And we've gotten one from him every year with a handwritten note on the back of it and everything. So it's an exciting time of year for some folks.
If someone's only explanation for it being legitimately their favorite holiday was just because every year they sit and watch the movie Groundhog's Day all day, that would be enough for me to believe them. I wouldn't question it off of that. I would go, yeah, I get it. It's hilarious. It's so much fun to watch. Bill Murray's perfect. Yeah, I could totally buy that as somebody's favorite holiday.
It is an exciting time for some folks. Thanks for that segue, Kendall. It's an especially exciting time if you have ever rooted for the Cincinnati Bengals. Speaking of crazy goings on and a day repeating itself, such as Groundhog Day, you know something else that's happened? The Cincinnati Bengals are going to the Super Bowl.
They sure are. They sure are. I mean, if you at the close of last year's season, if you would have told any football fan that Matthew Stafford is going to be in the Super Bowl next year and he's going to be playing against the Bengals, you would have been laughed out of the room. And here we are.
Here we are. Crazy. I am not going to claim to be a diehard fan. We've often joked about how much of a sport fan I am not in many sports. But my dad's dad grew up in a house, Dillon and I, rooting for the Bengals in the Boomer Esiason, Ickey Woods, Jason Buck days. So this is the 90s. And I have rooted for them to varying degrees of severity off and on for the last 31 years. But started to get more and more excited as we ramped toward the playoffs. These playoff games, by the way, take the Bengals aside of it, all coming down to the wire as they have. It's been a really, really fun and exciting postseason. Sherry has filled me in on a lot of it, so I'm getting most of my stories from her. But I have been watching, and we did watch them play the Chiefs the other night, the entire game. I ran around the backyard in my stocking feet in the snow when McPherson kicked the game-winning field goal. Wow, I can't believe it.
That dude, man, he's had a couple of weeks, huh? There was a post-game conference for the not this past game, the one before that got them into the championship, the AFC championship. And Joe Burrow said that he had overheard a conversation that McPherson, the field goal kicker, was having with the backup quarterback right before the field goal to win the game at the very end. And I guess Joe Burrow says he took a practice swing with his foot, and then he turns to the to the backup quarterback and kind of puts his hands on his hips and says, "Well, looks like we're going to the AFC championship," and then walks out on the field, kicks the field goal, and lo and behold, he does it again in the AFC championship.
I have to say, not even a Bengals fan, but as an Ohioan, I'm very glad for all the Bengals fans that have Bengals and Browns fans, let's be honest, have really clung to their teams through a lot of down years. And so I'm happy for the Bengals fans. And I'm more excited for this Super Bowl than I've been for any Super Bowl in a very long time, because it doesn't have Tom Brady, a Manning, or Aaron Rodgers in it. And it's just nice. It's nice to see a couple different teams in the mix there. And I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll see how many people watch it. But
right. Yes. Yeah.
But around here, everybody's watching it around here.
That could also go the other way, where it actually has a lot more viewers because it's different teams and because it's not the same,
maybe
one of the top quarterbacks, every year.
I was listening to a local sports radio show today, and they made the good point that that being able to latch onto somebody to hate them in sports makes the game interesting for people when they don't otherwise have someone to root for. And so when you look at it that way, having Tom Brady in the Super Bowl is good for the Super Bowl, even though most of the country hates him. Because it gives them a reason to watch. It gives them a reason to root for somebody, and that is whoever's playing Tom Brady. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the ratings look like. But
I could buy that because I don't stare at numbers all the time like those guys do. But I do think the Bengals have 4 former Buckeyes on the roster, which is all the more reason for me to root for the Bengals. And I do know a few LA Rams fans, so sorry to those guys, but I'll be rooting for the Bengals come the Super Bowl.
Are we still clinging on Joe Burrow as being labeled a Buckeye?
Well, there's some debate about that, because Shaq just shared a graphic on Instagram. I'm looking it up right now. He claims that this was a direct quote that Joe Burrow told him once. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. I'll always be an LSU Tiger. I don't know why Ohio State fans try to claim me. Well, Shaq went to LSU. And it does make sense because Burrow wasn't getting playing time, which is why he went to LSU. Right. But he is an Ohio boy. He was born just 2 hours away from Cincinnati. So
right, yeah.
It also makes sense that he was starstruck in front of Shaq and didn't want to tick off an LSU booster. So that would also totally make sense why that quote was that quote. So I'm not necessarily claiming Burrow anymore. I mean, he's an Ohio kid. He was at Ohio State temporarily. People will claim they're always alma mater, even if they don't graduate from school. So if he wants to still think of himself as part Buckeye, that's fine. It doesn't bother me, but I'm not necessarily lumping him in, Yeah.
No, it was like back when the Heisman stuff was going on with him, it was there was all kinds of talk about how he was a Buckeye and the fans around here talked about that. They made that connection. And the naysayers like me were like, what are you trying to do here? He's not a Buckeye. He left.
I mean, you could make the argument the SEC is not known for producing super high quality quarterbacks typically. So you could make the argument he got a lot of great probably instruction and coaching at a school that is known for producing really good quality college quarterbacks and then went to an SEC school. So you could make the argument he would at least owe part of his experience and training and things to the staff, the coaches.
Yeah. It's that kind of talk that I'm referring to.
Yeah. You could argue that. I don't really care. So it doesn't matter.
Sherry just texted. We're so loud that Sherry just texted from the other room and said he thanked Ohio State when receiving his Heisman Trophy. So,
okay, yeah, cool. Well, then, congratulations, Ohio State, on Joe Burrow doing good things for LSU.
Yep.
I did think it was cool that Tyler Shelvin, one of his teammates when he was at LSU, they reenacted him carrying Joe off the field after they beat Alabama. Because Tyler Shelvin plays for the Bengals now, so he carried him on his shoulder when they beat the Chiefs the other night. That was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah. In either case, Joe Burrow, got to be happy for that kid.
Man, he seems like he's just so composed.
And it's hard not to like him.
Yeah.
He's one of those. Patrick Mahomes is the same way. Like, he's just a likable guy.
There's an episode of South Park where one of the characters has overly large, let's just use the scientific term, testicles, and he has to carry them around in a wheelbarrow around South Park. And some of the memes are like, this is McPherson walking around Cincinnati right now.
Dude.
Anyway, Houday, and man, I thought for a second. So the only other two times I do know some Bengals trivia in my off and on bursts of following them. So the only other two times they've been to the Super Bowl was against the 49ers when the 49ers had a pretty well-known quarterback named Joe Montana. Can you imagine if they would have repeated that and the 49ers would have beat the Rams the other night? That's kind of who we were rooting for because we don't want LA to have home field advantage in LA, but that would have been interesting to see the Bengals and the 49ers for a third time in a Super Bowl. Didn't go so well the first two times, but probably our better chance for a win. Anyway, fun times.
This is probably the most we've talked about like a single game on this podcast.
I don't know. We might have to do a little bit more once we get closer to the Super Bowl or right after. It's just I love all the little weird statistics that they throw out. Like, only 3 players have ever gone, in their second season to the Super Bowl and done this and that. And Joe Namath, Joe Montana, and Joe Burrow. Will Joe be the third to win a Super Bowl? Those little like trivia, they come up with the weirdest
They do.
Like,
They do.
only 3 players have ever been named Joe and thrown 2 touchdowns in the second quarter of the AFC Championship and go on and win the game. So I love it. I love all the little factoids, and maybe we'll have to find some of the most obscure, and we can talk about some of those closer.
Oh, I'm sure you could find obscure sports stats. And if you're not watching on YouTube, I whipped out my grade school Hutch Bengals uniform. If you remember the days when you would walk through a store and you would see a helmet, jersey, and pants of your favorite NFL team. And I've had that and kept that all these years. So proof that I'm not totally fair weather.
There you go. I married into it. I could have cared less until I've legitimately been rooting for the Bengals for the past 7 years.
And you've got your Reds hat on.
It's the closest thing I have to a Bengals hat.
I love it. Is that a Death Star on there?
It's a Death Star on there. MLB and Star Wars.
An MLB Star Wars crossover.
Did a thing together and made these new era hats. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, was that like a Star Wars night or something at the stadium that they made them for? Or it was like a whole theme of merch?
They did do Star Wars nights. However, this might have been part of that, but every team essentially like has this hat, and then there's like 3 others. There's like a lightsaber logo one and stuff. And anyway, I got the Death Star one because I thought it was cool.
I really love it when a brand is so big that they can literally slap their whatever from their whole theme on anything at the grocery store or out and about, and you don't even question it. Like Qui-Gon Jinn is on a bag of cutie oranges at the store, and you don't even, it's just Star Wars oranges. Fine. Okay, I'll take this. And you buy it because you're like, well, Qui-Gon Jinn's on there.
I mean, Star Wars. I've never had Star Wars oranges.
Never had Star Wars clementines. These are probably going to be delicious. So,
Star Wars clementines. They're little Death Stars.
You don't even question it. It just is. You just see it and you go, I get it. Some brands have that luxury, and Star Wars is one of them. I have a couple from the last couple of days. I have a mildly amusing story that I thought I would share. We don't talk about gaming a ton, but I thought I would share it.
Settle down.
And then
we barely do amusing. I don't know if we could handle mildly.
Well, I don't want to oversell it to our regulars. It's not hilarious. It's mildly amusing.
They know better.
That's right. And then I have some bad news. And you guys can pick. Do you want to hear the bad news or the mildly amusing story first?
Bad news first.
Bad news first. Okay. I didn't know this was possible. I think I might have like thrown my back out. Like seriously, you're getting older when you have all these things going on. And of course the follow-up question is to that, what were you doing that you think you like really messed your back up? Yeah. And I literally can't tell anything but the truth, which is I was loading the dishwasher. The top shelf of the dishwasher. And I don't know what happened. I found myself like I was like hunched over and I couldn't like stand up, and I just like had to make my way to the couch. So I feel like this is from the middle, and we talk about being in the middle part of our lives, and here we are. These are some of the stories. So I don't know if you guys have ever done that. Just totally find yourself like you can't even move. You're just like locked in a position. And that's where I was standing at the dishwasher this evening.
I've never locked up like that, but I've tweaked something doing something weird. And you're like, every time I move in that one position, like a jolt of pain shoots up my spine, to which our father would reply, well, then don't twist your back in that way again. But dude, not locked up like that.
Yeah, I was like hunched over. So it was like, I'll get to the couch and see if I can lay down. And then I had to like roll off onto the floor. And I'm like, if I'm lucky, I can get in like a dog position. And then it's like, maybe I can make my way to the heating pad and like get back up on my bed. And so it was this whole thing. It was really fun. If nobody's done that, I don't recommend it. Go to your chiropractor regularly. Try to avoid any kind of serious issues like that. The more lighthearted story, if you were around for episode 84, Corey and I, we hosted our sister who also happens to be an incredible baker. She has a bakery in the Columbus, Ohio area called Kindness Batters. So go back and check out episode 84. She was actually in town near our house dropping off a cake. So we're like, well, just stop by for a few minutes. She had her kiddos with us. And I just had this moment where I just felt cool for just a moment. We were, they came inside, our nephews and niece were with them. They were going to hang out for a few minutes. So I'll show them all the Lego upstairs, because I've got a bunch kind of sitting in boxes and stuff. And they came up and they saw my work desk, which has a couple speakers on it and headphone, my computer, and a 27-inch monitor. And I got this total like bulging eyes or deer in the headlight look from one of the nephews, and they're about 6. And he just looks at my desk and looks at me and goes, "Are you a real gamer?" Because of the speaker. I have a headphone. I don't know if I can put it in here. And I'm realizing now in hindsight, with speakers, I have like the headphone, like the hanger or cradle to hold up my headphones and the big monitor. For just a second, I felt really cool. Like, yeah. I do kind of look like a cool gamer, because I know that's something that kids get into. They get on YouTube, they follow certain personalities. And, I know those little guys in particular, like some of the gamers that are on YouTube. So for just a second, I was super cool to a 6-year-old who thought I was a professional gamer. And that was like one of the highlights of my week.
What did you say? So what was the response?
I had to say no. It was my desk for work. Just shatter his little dreams. But I didn't want to lie to him. I said, well, no, I mean, I said I could play games over there, but that's really just,
this is where I sell insurance.
Yeah. Oh, way more. I do something way more exciting. I work in sales. Let me tell you about that. So there you go. Awesome. There's my high and low for the week. I have a couple stories for you.
Well, what's your plan?
Feel right now?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's your plan for getting the back looked at?
Yeah, just keep sliding around my house like a worm. And
yeah, I
made it to my desk, which is good. I think a steady rotation of I keep saying icy hot. It's not that. What's the other stuff?
Biofreeze.
Bengay?
Biofreeze. I think a steady rotation of like Biofreeze, ice packs, Tylenol, and ibuprofen will probably work itself out. Sure. And if not, chiropractor has got to be in my near future. So
my favorite phrase from that story was when you first did it and you said, "If I'm lucky, I'll make it to the dog position."
Yeah. Well, there was that exploratory period where I did get myself to the couch. So I'm moving all of my limbs and barely twisting my torso and my hips to figure out where the pain comes from at certain positions.
Yeah.
So I'm figuring out, if I really fully extend my legs, that helps. If I twist to this side, it doesn't hurt. Just trying to figure out how I could like sort of move around. So yeah, it was fun. That was great. Really not a fun feeling, but there's getting old for you. So for anybody in the middle part of life, watch yourself when you're doing dangerous stuff like loading the dishwasher.
I've thrown my back out like that exactly once, and it was not too long ago, several years ago. And I was like you, like kind of like one quarter bent over. We were at COSI, a science museum in downtown Columbus with one of the twins, and I was putting his wristband on him and my back went out. Only time it's ever happened. And it was the craziest thing. I had to shuffle back to the car with him, putting his wristband on him, which means that we had just gotten there.
Yeah.
And, but I had to get home quick, and, man, made it home. And then I remember going through the same thing, trying to figure out the positions. And for me, it was everything. The answer is, if you move your back, it's going to kill you.
Yeah.
And so there was I would make my way down to the chair, and every few minutes I would have to deal with like the Charlie horse feeling, only there's nothing you can do to make it go away. You just have to wait it out.
Yeah.
And like I couldn't stand up because it would trigger it. I couldn't lie down because it would trigger it. I couldn't shift my weight because it would trigger it. It was the worst thing.
This is such like a great, you listeners are so lucky because one week we're talking about how we're excitedly introducing our kids to video games that we still play. And Dillon made the comment, something along the lines of, we're so different from past generations because none of them would be talking about things like this at our age, video games and geek culture like we do. And at the same time, the very next episode, we're sounding like regular geriatrics over here. It's like, what's going on? We are truly from the middle. I have noticed myself, there are things that I could probably do, or like little moves or fun things with the kids that I could execute. But like, I just tell myself I probably shouldn't, because if I fall, my recovery is going to be a lot different at my age than like something simple, like before the weather turned and we're about to get a snowstorm here in Central Ohio. We're going to get probably a foot or so of snow. Before the weather turned, one of our friends who's been on the podcast before, Greg, was watching our kids one night and took them to a skate park. And they had so much fun that they were begging their mom and I to take them back. And so now here we are back at the skate park with a longboard, a regular skateboard, a couple scooters. And it was just me and the kids this time. And they're like, Dad, you should try it. And there are varying, there are ramps and things with varying degrees of skill level required to master them. And there's one that's like a 14-foot pool with 90-degree sides that you can go down into and do crazy half pipe stuff and whatever. And then there's very shallow incline, decline, very shallow ramps you can very safely take.
Like a ramp at the mall that somebody would take their scooter down.
Honestly, less than that. And and from far away, it's like, oh, that's nothing. I could do that. But when you're standing on a skateboard and you're 37 and you're like, man, if I wipe out, I've shattered my ankle before. I know what that recovery was like. But do you guys find yourself going like, I could probably do that, or I might take my kids to Mad River Mountain, to the nearest ski hill in Central Ohio, and go enjoy that. But if I fell, I'd be out of work.
Even a couple weeks ago, we had snow, and I was scraping off the car, and we park our cars on the street in front of our house. And I try to be very cautious. Like I'll lean against the car knowing that I might even dent it because I don't want to slip and fall, like trying to scrape ice and stuff. And I still, a couple weeks ago, even I still fell straight and slipped like a Home Alone style slip and fall right on your back. That's where this came from. I did that a couple weeks ago and I was being super careful. And I just thought, I just heard in the news how many men die from shoveling and scraping cars because they have accidents and they hurt themselves, or they have heart attacks because they overexert themselves. I'm like, great. And I'm going to kill myself freaking scraping off a car. So yes, I think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it's maturity and wisdom, or if it's just like, listen,
I like to think of it as my survival instincts. I made it to this age because there are things in my head that go, you probably shouldn't do that. And I've never broken a bone, and I've never had a serious injury like a lot of people, because those things come up in my head and tell me, maybe you need to hold off here.
Not only do they come up, but you heed them.
Yeah. That's the important part.
That's the important part. I think it's part that, and I think it's part wisdom. I think we spend much of our lives trying to figure out how we can make things easier on ourselves. And as we get older, I every time I bend over to tie my shoe, I think to myself while I'm tying my shoe, is there anything else I need to do while I'm down here?
Oh man.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I think there's wisdom in trying to make things easier on ourselves in there as well.
All
That's
right.
beautiful. That feels like a beautiful note where we can take a quick break, hear from some of our friends in the Odd Pods Media Network, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Shannon.
I'm Jamie.
We're Married with Television, marriedwithtv.com. We are a couple of Hollywood normies on the outskirts of the film and TV industry, and we talk about our favorite TV shows, music, and movies, and sometimes they talk back to us.
Sometimes they do.
Our podcast is Married with Television, one word, on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, and SoundCloud.
Possibly Amazon soon. And we are a proud member of the Odd Pods Media Network.
Married with TV.
MarriedWithTV.com.
So maybe one of the other things that comes with getting older is finding great pleasure in cleaning parts of your house or organization. So because it's winter, there's this area of our basement that mostly my fault. I've just been throwing stuff to deal with later, and it's become a pile. I wouldn't say a hoarder like situation, but it's just a pile of stuff. You throw all the Christmas gift wrap and tissue paper and gift bags that you're saving in one spot, and it just becomes this pile of stuff that needs sorted.
Wait, hold up.
Mm-hmm.
If you removed yourself from your own house as a stranger and went into that space and saw it, would you think of that as a hoarder situation if it wasn't your house?
Probably, yeah. So anyway,
hoarders never think of themselves as hoarders. God bless y'all. You need some help.
If you wouldn't, if
you
you
don't know that
wouldn't-
you're talking about that.
if you wouldn't have walked through a very well kept house and very thoughtfully designed house to get there, and if it weren't the only spot of the house that was that way, which leads me to my question.
Okay.
In the sitcom Friends, Monica, who's a very organized, tidy, structured, left brain, analytical person, has one space where she just throws stuff that's kind of for her out of sight, out of mind. And she carries a lot of guilt and shame about it. And I think it's Chandler who discovers it, right? So do you have a Monica's closet? Do you have a drawer or an area of your house? Maybe it's your entire garage. Do you have a place where you just go, I don't want to think about that. I just want it to be out of sight, out of mind. Company's coming over, shove it in the fill in the blank.
Well, first of all, before we get into this, if anybody listening has those spaces, I'd really love for you to email or message us, or even better, send us pictures of those places. If you're willing,
if you're real brave, yeah.
If you're willing to send us a picture, we promise we will not ID you, but we would love to share the photos as we go back and talk about it if we get some feedback.
That could be great. What if they sent the photos? We would know who it was from the email, but we wouldn't share it, and then they would get to hear other people's reaction.
Yes, we promise you anonymity if you send us pictures of your drawers and closets with appropriate items in them, of your Monica's closet type rooms in your house. So I'll let Kendall start. Do you guys have spaces in your house like that?
Oh, we sure do. And my wife and I are very different about these kinds of things. I mean, there is a junk drawer in the kitchen for sure, and it's designated for that purpose. But we kind of know what's in there, right? So like that's where obviously unused mouse traps can be found in there, or pens can be found in there. I do this with various spaces in my house. But then I do organize them every so often, right? So my garage tends to be sort of a catch-all for let's just throw this fan in the garage and get it out of here for now. But then a couple times a year, like I completely ransack the garage and and organize it to a T and reset it.
So it's almost like a holding area, not a true.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. So it's still to a point where right now my garage looks like it's been a while since I've organized in there. However, like we can still fit 2 cars in the garage, so it's not as bad as some people's garages. But and on the other hand, it's our garage and not like Corey's little corner, right? So I feel like my problem's bigger than yours. Not
or
that
you're
we're
just
comparing.
bragging about the size of your house again.
No, my garage is actually quite small.
You had to buy a whole new car because of it.
Actually, yeah.
How about you, Dillon?
So this is tricky.
It's a yes.
Are there places in my house that are like Monica's closet? Yes. Are there places in my house that I actively manage like Monica's closet? The answer is no. The closest thing we have that I manage, if you know the Russian dolls, like the bigger one covers up the medium, the small, at one point we got a set of like chicken wire, long rectangular shaped baskets with handles, and they had like burlap liner. We got like three or four of those stacked that we've used around the house in different places to put baskets to hold things.
It's very farmhouse chic of you.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. Thanks, Magnolia. So two of those are in the kitchen that are partially managed by me. We'll put it that way. One of them is on the counter. One of them is under the counter. It's kind of like Kendall's garage. If those 2 baskets they're definitely a catch-all. It's like pens, flashlights, matches for candles, door stoppers for a kid, in whatever random stuff you can, an old gift card with like $1 left on it. Something, a few bits of toys we took out of one of our daughter's toy sets that were too small of pieces we just threw in there. So like some catch-all baskets. There's 2 of those that exist that probably a couple times a year I just start pitching stuff in it, because it's like, it's exactly like the garage situation. It sits there until you realize you definitely don't need it. Right. So there's a couple of those. There is one closet that I have things in. And it's the only thing in this small closet is a stack of unopened audio products that are sealed and neatly stacked in the closet. And that's the only thing in that closet. It's just audio products that are unopened, nicely sealed in boxes if I ever need them. So that's about it. There are some of those spaces though, but it's not whole rooms and whole closets.
So I love this. I love breaking down this stuff. So when Kendall, for you, your garage or the junk drawer, not as much probably. Dillon, for you, the knowledge that closet exists, even though it's not managed by you. When those places are in their messy state, we establish that it might just be a catch-all until like it's warmer weather and you can get out there and start organizing stuff, whatever. How often do you think of it? Is it truly out of sight, out of mind? Or does it nag at you the knowledge that there is a area in your house that is in complete disarray?
Nags at me for sure.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what bugs me more than maybe a particular closet or a particular basket. So I don't know how many times since 2005 that I've moved. If we're including like for school and different dorms or apartments, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 times. I don't know, something like that in the last however many years. When you're constantly moving between small spaces, things get put in boxes from things in other rooms that they shouldn't be with. Right. So like you just have to find a way. So it's like, well, this weird kitchen stuff I don't use very often. I'm in an apartment. I don't have a huge pantry. So it's going to go in a guest bedroom closet. And then some clothes get thrown in there. And then now I've got like some tools that I don't have like a garage or a workbench. So tools are like in with the bathroom stuff because I just set them under the sink, and so that kind of thing happens and it keeps happening. You keep moving and weird stuff keeps going in weird boxes. Knowing that those boxes exist in my basement a couple of those boxes, because it's not like there's 10 different rooms worth of stuff. There's like 2 or 3 at most. But just knowing that they exist bother me more than anything else. Yeah. And the rationale is we're currently in a small home, and then the next year or two, we'd like to move into a home that's a little bit bigger that will likely be where we will live for a very long time. My rationale is, well, I'm not going to go through and resort all of that stuff now, because we're going to have to pack stuff again and move it again. Once we get into a place where we believe we'll be for a very long time, then it makes a lot more sense to completely gut those spaces and boxes and baskets and actually reorganize everything so I know where everything is.
Yeah. But you're making it sound like you have exactly 2 of those boxes, and it's going to take all of 45 minutes to do that reorganization.
So it's not 2, but it's not 20. Like there's probably like 6 or 8. And so a good size boxes. So it's enough that you're like, this is going to take me a weekend to fully sort everything and go buy new organized bins and mark them, label them, and make it look nice. It's more than an hour's worth of work, but it's not like weeks of labor.
Yeah. So the area I'm talking about that started all of this is the area underneath our steps to the basement. The basement is mostly finished. The area I'm talking about was in the unfinished side underneath the unfinished stairs that had just become like old monitors from leaving a previous job that I wasn't required to give back, that they did not want, old docking stations and cables and Christmas gift wrap stuff. And like, I would think about it. I want to probably at least once a week. I would think that's a mess down there. I need to get to it. And it sat for so long. I spent some of this winter cleaning it up. I've got everything organized. I felt lighter. I felt happier. The knowledge that space was no longer in a state of disarray made me feel better. I cleared an entire workbench and reorganized all of the cabinets that workbench is sitting on, and did multiple craft projects because it was finally clean. And I had found objects I had been looking for, a specific tool, or I've been looking for that one cord that connects the old PlayStation 3 microphone so I can see if I can hook it up to the PlayStation, like that type of stuff. And I felt so much better.
Yeah, dude.
Amazing.
Preach.
Love it.
I condoed myself.
You sure did.
Feel really good about it. So, final question, and then I'll move off of this. I do hold on to little tchotchkes and keepsakes from my work travel, or Sherry and I's trip, our most recent trip to Hawaii. Like, I kept the coaster from Mama's Fish House on Maui, right? Like, how do you guys decide what to keep and what to pitch? Like, do you get them? Like, do you want to remember, oh, that's the pen where I had that cool conversation in the hotel lobby with, like, do you keep stuff like that? Or you're just like, I'll take a picture of it if I really care about it. Otherwise, throw it away.
That one. I'm definitely a pitcher. I throw things away. There are very few things that I've hung on to, and to be honest, some of the stuff. So when I organize, I saw a meme today that said something like the best way to keep things organized is to throw all your stuff away, and those are words that I live by. So when I do go to like reorganize the garage or reorganize like my dresser in the bedroom or whatever it is, the way I do that is I get rid of stuff. And there's a couple little tchotchke-ish things that I keep just so that there's something there.
Interesting.
But
that sounds healthy.
I don't know if it is or not.
Marie Kondo would say, Corey, if you've got so many tchotchkes, you need to figure out which ones spark joy. But this is not a strong suit of mine at all. But I appreciate when I see that people will take things like that and find a way to make. I'm kind of minimalist. Like some people will put decor up on every inch of their walls and every bit of shelf, and they'll jam so many pictures and stuff on shelves that you can't even see them, like they're covering them up. But I do appreciate when people, a little bit different, I do appreciate when people will find a way to do a small craft with the thing. And so, like, not a good example because it's a coaster, but like somebody might take the coaster and actually just put it on their fridge because that's an easy way to see it. But people will take little things and do those, what are they called? Shadow box.
Yeah.
So they'll just take a couple mementos from, if they go to Hawaii a lot, for as an example, using it as an example, they'll take a shadow box's worth of their favorite tchotchkes from Hawaii. They'll put them all in that and then they'll hang it. And then it's like, that's a good mixture of.
So the lesson is hang up your crap. Don't let it have footprint space. Verticalize your garbage. Just verticalize it.
Yeah, verticalize it if you want, sure. After you found the most worthwhile keepsakes. But I think that I don't even collect a ton of things. I've collected a lot of Lego, let me be clear. But I don't collect a lot of different things. But even I get a little antsy with some of the things that I collect that I'm like, that's not, or that I've somehow gotten a few of. I'm like, I don't want that collection. So I want to get rid of it because I don't even. It's not a thing that
you get antsy if at the idea of even having too much of it.
Yeah, like the perfect example. Because sometimes I know there could be a tipping point where I do start to want to collect it. And so a really great example of that is the pop heroes or whatever. I feel like if I ever get too many of those, I could be the guy that has a whole wall of them behind him on a video, like 9-foot ceilings, 10 feet across, just pop heroes at $10 to $15 a piece. So I get a little antsy. You know, I've got maybe been gifted or bought to a total of maybe 8 or 10. And I'm like, that's probably, I'm probably at a max. Like that's now more than a little shelf space. Yeah. If I get many more.
I follow a comedian who's legitimately obsessive compulsive. And he remembers as a kid having the thought, if I start collecting this, it's just going to be too much. And so he just started throwing away all of his toys as a kid because he knew himself enough to know this is going to be a problem to try to keep up with all of these like franchises and different types of things.
That's what happened, by the way. That's what happened with me and Star Wars Lego. And I've got to credit my father, who sometime in the last 10 or 12 years got me like, I had some Star Wars Lego as a kid, and I think I gave it all to you or traded it all to you, Corey, as a kid. And I think Dad got me one like land speeder or something, and that has just blown up into a hole because I knew it was one of those things that I could very easily get into enjoying buying and collecting.
Yeah,
specifically Star Wars themed.
So you brought up Dad. He did something pretty cool. So he grew up in the 60s playing with the 12-inch G.I. Joe figures. And he got rid of all of those, lost a lot of those in transition and whatever. Later in life, decided and discovered eBay and discovered, oh, I can go back and buy these same things that I had as a kid and all the wonderful nostalgia that comes with it. And that's why shows like The Toys That Made Us exist. And then it got to a point where he was buying lots from eBay, lots as in sets of things to get one thing, not lots as in quantity, but also that, yes. And the more and more that he acquired, he was like, okay, this is getting out of hand. So so let's say it was a set of the snow G.I. Joes in the white camouflage. He would deck them out with their accessories and set them up in a scene and take really cool photos because he's also dabbling in photography. And he's like, I'll take all these pictures of all the sets and make a coffee table book and sell them. So he has the keepsake. He has the memory. He got to play with them, setting them up, take some really cool photos. And they are very fun. He's got stories that he's given them names for each of us sons. And there's cool stories and hunting adventures that they go on to find Yeti, and it's cute and it's really, really cool. But I was like, that's a great way to sort of like still have the thing, but not make it become unmanageable.
Yeah, that's good. I like the memories of things, and I like making memories with my family and everything like that. It's one thing that I don't find it odd because it's very normative. I recognize that I'm the odd one, but like the getting a keepsake from a vacation spot, and then like 5 years down the road, you can't throw it away because you don't want to forget. And I'm like, well, that doesn't even make sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm not going to forget that I went to Nashville with my kids. And yeah, I mean, there might be some day, like in the future, that old elderly Kendall will have dementia and not be able to remember the time he went to Nashville with his kids. But you know what? I mean, the little shot glass isn't going to remind me either. Like, that's not going to help. So
yeah.
So that's one thing I've never quite. I don't have the same connection to physical things that I feel like a lot of people do. I just, it sounds robotic, but like, it's for logical reasons. I don't understand why a thing helps you.
Do you think we have a whole different outlook on that? Because I can literally take 300 pictures on vacation, and if my phone breaks the last day of vacation, I buy another one and iCloud backup, they're all there again. Do you think we just view, because like, if we lived in an era where you didn't have camera at all, or you only had the throwaway and you had to be really careful about what photos you took, you wouldn't remember things as well. I mean, every time you swipe back through iCloud, you're remembering things that you did.
Yeah, but I don't do that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here, for me, it's not the remembering. Here's where I get into trouble. Ready? I keep it because I've kept it this long.
Like, you sound like my parents.
I've got this little pencil box from grade school that has a bunch of little trinkets in it that I kept, like a Marvin the Martian keychain and all these little things. And I'm like, well, I've kept it this long. Yeah. Oh,
I think you should post some of that stuff to sell, because some of it is so oddly like a niche specific thing that if people buy it, you already know they really wanted it. Like, you know, or it's going to go to a kid who's going to get a ton of use out of it. Like, if somebody buys a Marvin the Martian keychain from 1993, they really want the Marvin the Martian keychain.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that would help.
Well, this has been cathartic and a little maybe too revealing, so I'm now getting uncomfortable. But we would love to hear from you. Do you have a Monica's closet? Do you have a space in your house where you're just throwing things? And what do you keep? How do you decide what to keep and what to throw out? That would be a fun thing to hear back from some of our listeners. Do we want to do a quick couple things we've been watching, or do we want to do that in another episode? Perhaps even a tangent.
Let's do another episode. Let's do another time.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. Well, this has been really fun. Thanks for tuning in this week. I have to say, I just ordered today and received today a bunch of Artiest Man products. I'm super excited. They had a 5-pack of their winter scents of their beard oils. If you bought a regularly priced item. So I got some beard conditioner and wash. I love Artiest Man stuff. They've got a couple new scents that I've tried and really liked. Spiced Latte is one, and tea tree mint might be the other one. Tea something mint, very, very good. Like I said, the winter scent has like mint in it that opens your nasal passages. It's amazing. Artiestman.com. That's ARTIUSMAN.com. Use promo code The Middle at checkout. That's The Middle at checkout to get 25% off your first order. Loving their stuff. Thanks for the super prompt delivery. I also live right down the street from them, so that's pretty dope. This has been a fun one. We'll catch you guys next week. Episodes drop every Wednesday morning. Bye.
Bye.